M.O.T.H, move our tangible horizons.
Let's begin. Ready? Recite your baseline.
And blood-black nothingness began to spin. A system of cells interlinked within cells, interlinked within cells, interlinked within one stem. And dreadfully distinct against the dark, a tall white fountain played.
Cells.
Cells.
Do they keep you in a cell? Cells.
Cells.
Interlinked.
Interlinked.
Do you feel that there's a part of you that's missing? Interlinked.
Interlinked.
Within cells, interlinked.
Within cells interlinked.
Why don't you say that 3 times? Within cells, interlinked.
Within cells interlinked. Within cells interlinked. Within cells interlinked.
A soft shift in the horizon. Before the city had a shape, there was only a faint suggestion, a sense that ground and light had begun to listen to each other. Modernism arranged material with confidence, but quiet murmurs hinted that the next frontier might lie in harmony rather than weight. The caterpillar felt it as warmth in the soil, lines on paper trembling in invitation. The moth sensed a shimmer at the edges, light pausing as if it's reconsidering its purpose. They met in that in-between, weight wanting to dream, light wanting to care. No revelation followed, just a shared breath and a question. What if a city could feel the people who moved through it? What if architecture reached toward companionship? The city did not answer. It simply welcomed the idea. A possibility unfolded, buildings remembering warmth, streets softening around footsteps, light lingering where it was needed. A city could remain steel, glass, soil, schedules, and still grow a second life made of attention. This is a city's hope, if the horizon moves gently enough. The caterpillar traces weight, the moth drifts through wavelengths. Between them lies a future still imagined. And in that imagining, Tucken begins.
关系健康稳定发展，维护多边主义和世界和平稳定繁荣做出更大贡献。日本首相高市早苗抛出涉台错误言论后，日方多次搬出非法无效的旧金山合约，企图搪塞其在台湾问题上的立场。对此，中国外交部发言人林健今天再次强调， 日本在口头上搪塞敷衍，在行动上一意孤行。
Trapaholics mixtapes. Son, where'd you find
Kurse durch die City, Arme stoße weg der Ziggy und der Zivi denkt sich jedes Mal, die gottverdammte Ship ist aber scheißegal. Pumpt der Sound aus der Box, in die Mutter fühlt es auf, will sie bounce zu dem Song, yeah. Sieh die Mann, die Stadt macht mich krank, Punker Stories auf der Rhythmus vor der Stadt, dran versteht. Rennen vor der Zivis weg im VW Passat, ja das Leben in der Stadt, es ist abgefuckt das an. Sieh die Mann, die Stadt macht mich krank, Punker Stories auf der Rhythmus vor der Stadt, dran versteht. Rennen vor der Zivis weg im VW Passat, ja das Leben in der Stadt, es ist abgefuckt das an. 3-4, wer will mit uns mithalten? Fickt er deine Mutter und benimm mich wie den Stiefvater. 04 Musik, Alter, es ist Zeitalter. Bringen wir Swiss Rap wieder in sein Zeitalter. 90er Zeitalter, häng nur mit Jungs aus der 90er Zeitalter, bang, bada, boom. Ich komm zurück und zerfick alles. Das Spiel wird übernommen, bis so gut als mit mir nicht mehr.
DJ M.O.T.H back on the decks. Trapaholics mixtapes.
I'll be your symphony, I'll be your melody. 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 Excited, be excited, be excited, be excited.
The origin bargain. Europe places a wager in the Alps. Switzerland approached the EO with an offer so politely ambitious that delegates blinked twice before responding. A megacity for 60 million people, placed inside a 700 square kilometer alpine basin, calibrated through harmony. The technical brief read like a novel an engineer secretly hoped someone would take seriously. Vertical density at 57,000 square kilometer per person, a fusion reactor delivering 194 gigawatts. Atmospheric intelligent tuning civic moods. Transit carrying 4.2 million travelers each day. Comfort treated as infrastructure. Officially, Tucken's budget was 1.8 trillion francs, but the same HSG study quietly noted that depending on whether one counted atmospheric calibration as infrastructure, the real cost could be anywhere between twice that and a full gazillion. Harmony will shape Europe's next century. Tucken is the first demonstration. Europe missed visionary confidence, the ability to attempt something that might actually succeed. The M.O.T.H watched regulators tour the empty plane. They want courage again, it murmured. The caterpillar anchored survey markers. So we begin before they change their minds. Delegates arrived in a borrowed hiking boots, nodding respectfully at the geological features they had no understanding of. The caterpillar sensed their hesitation pass into the soil. The M.O.T.H overheard an official whisper. I feel we approved a miracle by accident. Zurich watched the early foundation form across the lake with the expression of a cat evaluating a glowing new pet.
The second sun reactor. The heart with surplus dreams. At the southwestern hinge of the basin, the second sun flexes its fusion petals, expanding and contracting in a slow rhythm that feels almost affectionate. Being 1 meter taller than the Burj Khalifa and having an output of 194 gigawatts, it produces more than the continent knows what to do with. The glowing LED Swiss cross on the sphere was a gift from the city of Guangzhou, a restrained handshake gesture, congratulating Europe's first entry into to be taken seriously in the global competition. Electricity spreads outward into purification systems, sky bridge rails, and pavement regulators. Occasionally, when the thermal load spikes unexpectedly, the reactor emits a low groan. The moth hovers above the petals, listening. It sounds like it needs therapy. The caterpillar checks the diagnostics. It says it's fine. Free energy changed Tugend's metabolism. Motion became easy. Comfort expanded without strain. Nobody noticed the precise moment when abundance became the city's default posture. It simply settled into the landscape, like a dragon on a pile of gold, now being Tugend's second most relevant landmark featured on a Google image search.
The terminal, the western wing of movement. Tugend's three-level air and railway terminal handles 11.4 million passengers per day. Geothermal exhalations keep the plaza frost-free, sending soft streams of vapor curling past commuters. A night shift welder steps into the hall. Lights dim slightly to soothe her tired eyes. Two students enter laughing. Humidity absorbs the excess joy. A farmer from Old Tucken crosses carefully. The pavement solidifies beneath him. On the arrival board, 708 Shenzhen Express via Tashkent. Recalibration pending. The moth twitches. Shenzhen grows faster, certainly, but it has the social warmth of a warehouse forklift. Tucken likes growth too, just with eye contact.
The Firehouse and the Fire Academy. Over 1 million volunteers and monumental barracks. Tucken experience only 0.4 structural fires each year, usually a labor. Yet the Firehouse hosts 1.2 million volunteers, making it the city's proudest civic community. The headquarters remain a monument exhibiting the classical, highly appreciated network of the Swiss fire force. At the University Fire Academy, cadets train on simulation rigs that can mimic avalanches, industrial heat waves, and the occasional runaway experiment. The Caterpillar watched cadets adjust hoses. They train like the city depends on it, the moth glowed. Readiness is its own quiet ceremony.
The silo and the fields of provision. The stomach of the city and its glowing sentinel. A 312-meter agricultural silo grows vegetables on floors tuned by mist and airflow. Cheese caves produce 280,000 wheels monthly. Hyper-rise terraces run along domesticated foothills, yielding 1.8 million tons each year. The 1,200-inch high-res screen gifted by Chongqing that illuminates the silo is Tugend's modern-day Statue of Liberty. Two farmers rest at dawn. They say Tugend sustains itself, one remarks. The other nods. Sure, and the cows write the annual report.
Civic harmony, the quiet calibration of agreement. Tugend's politics run through 501 Gemeinderäte, one for each quarter and one for extra balance, as the Caterpillar likes to say. Meetings unfold in a circular hall where acoustics gently nudge debates toward agreement. No one claims the atmosphere influences policy, but everyone feels it. The University of Harmonic Systems sits at the city center, part research institute, part tuning fork. Students study thermal empathy, crowd acoustics, and the science of calm. The moth teaches a seminar called Light as a Companion. The Caterpillar gives lectures that are mostly sketches. Beside the campus, the Innovation Hub of Harmony tests prototypes for citywide use. Benches that relax shoulders, breeze algorithms for stressful districts, occasional failures like that one glitch at Kiosk 44 in downtown. Together, the Gemeinderäte and the university keep the city steady. Governance, the moth remarked once, drifting above the council hall, is easier when the room itself wants harmony.
The Hill of Light, upper slope of shared radiance. Buchberg rises from the basin's northwest corner, peaking 90 meters over the city. It holds the stored warmth of the reactor, releasing it each evening as a soft golden glow. Families climb in terraces at dusk, nurses finishing shifts, students with instruments, grandparents escorting small children, all gather on the slopes as the light spreads. The Bob Trans track winds down like a silver thread. The noise from the city is damped by an invisible sound barrier. The hill is Tuken's everyday nature reserve. The caterpillar watched the illuminated slope. We reshaped this whole mountain, the moth replied. The mountain seems pleased.
The Temple of Stillness, a chamber for collective breath. Nestled near the Midtown Park, a vast column hall is the place for contemplation, known only as the Temple of Stillness. It contains no doctrine, no rituals, and no furniture beyond what people bring with them. "60,000 visitors pass through each day. Though the space never feels crowded. Sound dissolves into mineral fabrics that adjust density on a 5-minute cycle. Light drops through the openings, shifting with day length and weather memory. Temperature stays perfectly balanced, as though the chamber studies each visitor's pulse. The caterpillar once entered after a difficult week. The floor rose just enough to ease its weight. The moth hummed near the dome's peak, tracing pockets of quiet, where breath gathered like small clouds. Stillness is engineering too, it whispered. The caterpillar sighed in agreement. People leave the temple lighter, as if the chamber remembers heaviness on their behalf.
The memory dog. The lake keeps what the city lets go. An infinite boulevard traces the lake's edge, where people drift after work, like steam off a warm stone. Conversations settle into the water, technicians comparing wind readings, students replaying unfinished ideas, grandparents exchanging gentle gossip. Some people drop a tiny dissolving capsule into the lake, a thought released, a small recalibration. The shoreline brightens in soft gradients as the city listens. The caterpillar noted 60 million memories, and somehow the lake carries them all. The moth thinks it has practice.
The everyday and the working people. Choreography of 60 million. If Tuken has a center, it rests in the gesture of 60 million inhabitants. The tiny shifts of balance on skywalks, muttered adjustments of tools, laughter drifting upward like a warm breeze. Facade calibration leaving their shift, joke about the banker who once walked into the misaligned reflective field and accidentally generated a halo for a week. The caterpillar overheard the smile and smiled. Accidental miracles count too. The moth hovered. Bankers rarely admit them. A fisherman checked pH sensors along 12 lake sectors, humming a tune older than the basin's first foundations. Workers balance coffee on sky ridges 50 meters above ground. Pavement adjusts temperature based on the collective stress, a civic kindness that feels casual and intimate at once. Atmospheric technicians work in pairs, tuning breeze along the transport corridors. Retirees settle into the sun pockets, observing the city like grandparents watching a talented grandchild who has finally learned to behave. Migrants navigate the city with ease. Tuken treats difference as its baseline rhythm. A delegate rests his feet outside the tram hub. The pavement shifts 1 degree in acknowledgement. The caterpillar mutters, it comforted him again. The moth replies, some lessons repeat until noticed. Everyday life feels simple here. Comfort delivered at immense scale, become its own quiet revolution.
The traditions. Old rituals in new perspective. Tugun holds onto its rituals with surprising devotion. In a megacity of 60 million, tradition acts as the spine that keeps everything familiar, grounding the futuristic skyline in something older and softer. Saxilite still misfires every year, the bug collapsing too early, too enthusiastically, or occasionally sideways. Crowds cheer regardless. Schwingen meets sumo each summer in the arena near the Lindt River. Balconies packed with spectators who pretend to understand both rule sets at once. Sound bounces across the water, turning the whole district into a gentle amphitheater. Glausjagge and Fasnacht send bells and lanterns through vertical canyons, echoes rising until towers seem to vibrate with memory. The river becomes an informal parade. At sunset, people jump in the regulated river to adjust core temperatures. Families, students, newcomers, retirees, each carrying lanterns that reflect like slow-moving constellations. People wave between boats and balconies. The caterpillar once called it the city thinking out loud. The moth glided above the shimmer and whispered, "Community feels better than anything engineered." Alpabzug remains the emotional core. Cows parade through dense boulevards, wearing flower crowns that challenge basic engineering principles. Children shout, retirees cry, density smiles. Moments where 60 million people remember they belong to something shared. Tradition here is less nostalgia and more calibration. Tugun reminds itself how to feel human. At the end of the civic strip, where the Lindt bends towards Glarus, tourists can enjoy Tugun's most beloved attraction. The iconic waving figure reminds most of the horizon's edge, and unknown possibilities that lay ahead. Although this seems like a true tale, it appears that nobody has ever realized that this was a part of a cultural exchange. The South Korean government wanted to monumentalize the success of Gangnam Style in the emerging region, connecting it with the rapid growth and the worldwide relevance that had appeared seemingly overnight.
The horizon shifts again. The city preparing for its next breath. Night settles over the basin. Tugun glows across the domesticated mountains like a constellation, unsure whether it belongs to earth or sky. A faint tremor moves through the soil, polite, excited. The caterpillar senses the ground, preparing for new construction. The moth senses a fresh wind weaving between towers. 60 million people sleep under a calibrated breath. Tugun listens, adjusts, dreams. The caterpillar whispered, "It wants to grow again." The moth answered, "Growth looks good on it." A city alive, a city learning, a city moving its tangible horizon. And every gesture, from the faintest breeze to the hum under the pavement, carries the same quiet truth. Tugun loves you back.